Okay, so have you ever thought, what if interacting with technology felt, well, as natural as just talking to a friend? Like, imagine you just look at something, ask a question about it, and boom, you get an answer right away. An answer that actually makes sense in context, No typing, no tapping. Sounds a bit like sci-fi, right? But it seems like we're getting closer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really fascinating how Google DeepMind showed off Project Astra back at Google I/O 2024. It feels like a real shift in thinking about AI assistants. We're not just talking about a small update here. It's more like they're completely rethinking what an AI companion could actually do.
Mm.
It's this prototype, and the goal is, well, a universal assistant.
Exactly. And that's what we're getting into today. We've got this detailed report that breaks down Project Astra. So our mission for this deep dive is to really, get under the hood, understand what makes this AI tick and why it might be such a big deal. Ready to dive in? Let's start with the basics. What are the sort of core ideas behind Astra?
Okay, so the report lays out 5 key design principles. Think of them as the goals they're shooting for. First, it needs to see and understand the real world, like through a live camera feed.
Hmm.
Second, it's built to listen and respond using pretty advanced voice recognition.
Okay. Seeing and listening.
Right. Third, it has a kind of short-term memory, so it remembers what you were just talking about, the context. Fourth, the interaction should feel totally natural, conversational, like you're actually talking with it, not at it.
That's a big one.
Yeah. And finally, number 5, it's meant to be proactive. So it might jump in or suggest things without you specifically asking. And right now they're testing this stuff on phones and also some experimental smart glasses.
Wow. Okay. So moving beyond just voice commands, that visual piece, the seeing part, that sounds like a real game changer. How does it actually process all that? The sights, the sounds?
Well, that's where this multimodal capability is key. It means it handles different types of input together. Visually, think about your phone camera or maybe future smart glasses. Astra can look at your surroundings, figure out what objects are there, even read text off a screen or, say, lines of code. And it doesn't just see it, it can explain what it's seeing, like in real time.
In real time.
Yeah. And then on the audio side, it handles live voice input the report mentions over 24 languages. But it's not just the words. It's apparently trying to pick up on your tone, the context, maybe even the emotion behind what you're saying.
Hmm.
And of course, it can still process typed text, keeping that same deep understanding of the context.
That feels like a huge leap. I mean, the idea that it understands how I say something, not just what I say, how does that translate into making conversations feel more, natural, less robotic?
Right. The goal is definitely to ditch those sort of clunky start-stop interactions we have now. Hey, assistant, do this. Okay. Since Astra's engineered for conversations that flow in real time with very low latency.
Low latency meaning quick responses.
Exactly. Almost instant, like a person responding. That speed is really crucial to make it feel natural. Plus, it's designed for natural turn-taking. So you hopefully won't need awkward wake words all the time. It just knows when you're talking to it.
Okay.
And because it might detect those tonal or emotional cues we mentioned, its answers could feel more appropriate, more human, maybe. And importantly, it can handle follow-up questions naturally. If it's unsure, it might ask for clarification. It can even summarize things for you. It really aims for a proper dialogue.
So it's tracking the conversation as it goes. Tell me a bit more about that memory capability you mentioned.
Yeah, that's the short-term memory aspect. The report suggests it holds on to context for about maybe 10 minutes, which is enough to keep the thread of a single conversation going, right? It remembers what you just asked, what it just showed you. It can also recall things like your preferences, maybe tasks you're working on together, user-specific stuff. And this memory is what allows it to give responses that are tailored to that specific interaction.
Okay, got it. So it sees, hears, talks, remembers the recent past. But you also mentioned it's proactive. What does that actually look like in practice?
This is where it gets really interesting, potentially quite powerful. Proactive means it doesn't always wait for you to ask. For example, maybe you show it some code you're writing. It might spot an error and actually suggest a fix, even if you didn't ask it to debug.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe through the camera, it sees something unusual, like maybe you left your keys on the table when you usually don't, and it points it out. It could also do things like set reminders automatically based on your conversation, or adjust device settings, or suggest actions based on what it learns about your routines, all without a direct command.
That shifts things, doesn't it? From assistant to something more like a partner. Could it anticipate problems before we even spot them ourselves?
That's definitely the direction this seems to be heading. It's a fascinating possibility.
So what's the tech making this all happen? What's under the hood?
Okay, the core engine is Google's Gemini model, specifically mentioning Gemini 2.0 in the report. And what's key about Gemini is that it was built from the start to be multimodal. It's not like older models that were mainly text-based and had vision tacked on. Gemini is designed to inherently process and connect different kinds of information, text, images, audio, video all together.
So it's natively understanding these different inputs.
Exactly. That integration is crucial for the kind of understanding Astra aims for. Other key bits include real-time computer vision that also understands spatial stuff like where things are in relation to each other. And then there's the AI-generated voice. They're really pushing for natural-sounding speech synthesis, not robotic at all. The goal is a voice that has natural pauses, intonation, maybe even reflects emotion, making it hard to tell from a human.
Okay.
The report also mentions integration with other apps, think Gmail, Calendar, Maps, and this capability called tool use.
Tool.
Yeah, it means Astra could potentially operate other apps for you. So instead of just searching for restaurants, it might actually interact with the booking app on your phone to make the reservation. That's a step beyond just answering questions.
That is a big step. So where can we actually see this technology now? Or parts of it? And what's coming soon?
Well, right now it's primarily in testing. On Android phones using the camera and mic, and on those prototype smart glasses, the ones with the little heads-up display and built-in cameramic. But we are seeing pieces of this tech starting to sort of trickle into existing Google products. Like the real-time video understanding is powering features in what they call Gemini Live, and Search Live lets you ask questions about what your camera sees.
Okay, I think I've seen demos of that.
Right, and there's also integration happening in Google Workspace, helping with meeting summaries, scheduling, things like that. So bits and pieces are emerging.
The report gives some really specific examples of how this could be used. Can you share a few just to make it really tangible for people listening?
Sure. Let's think about different areas. Education, for instance. Imagine pointing your phone at a complex biological diagram in a textbook. Astra could potentially explain it step by step, or you show it a math problem you're stuck on, and it guides you through the solution visually. For coding, like we touched on, maybe you just show it your screen, and it highlights potential bugs in your code as you type.
That would be amazing.
Or navigation, you're walking around a new city, look at a building, and Astra recognizes the landmark and gives you directions or tells you about it. Healthcare is another area. Maybe assisting with identifying pills or offering some very basic triage guidance based on visual symptoms, though obviously that needs careful handling.
Yeah, huge caveats there.
Absolutely. And then accessibility is a big one. Reading signs aloud for someone visually impaired, identifying objects in a room.
It paints a powerful picture. Think about just bouncing between your email and calendar and maps all day. Could Astra really streamline all that?
That seems to be the hope, yes, to make those everyday digital tasks much more fluid.
So how does Astra stack up against the assistants we already know, like Siri or Alexa, or even things like ChatGPT's vision features?
Well, the report suggests Astra aims to go significantly beyond current voice assistants like Siri and Alexa, mainly because of that real-time integrated visual understanding. They just don't see the world in the same way. It's probably more comparable to the vision capabilities being added to models like ChatGPT, or maybe the augmented reality concepts Meta is exploring. Google's advantage seems to be building on their existing strengths, years of work with Google Lens for visual search, combined now with the power of the Gemini model. It feels like a unification and evolution of those things.
Makes sense. But no technology is perfect, especially early on. What are the hurdles or limitations right now?
Yeah, the report does point out some challenges. Latency is one. If your network connection is bad, that real-time seamless interaction could suffer. You might get delays.
Right, needs good connectivity.
Definitely. Privacy is another big consideration, inevitably. You have potentially always-on cameras, microphones, and this memory function. That raises valid questions about data security and user control.
Huge questions, yeah.
And then there are practical things. The dedicated smart glasses are still prototypes, not widely available, and the whole system is currently in a closed beta or experimental phase. So you and I can't just download it and try it out yet.
But they have plans to move forward. What's the roadmap look like?
It seems so. The plan is to roll out more Astra-like features into the main Gemini app on Android phones. That seems like the first big step. They also talk about expanding smart glasses integration, potentially through partnerships. The report mentions names like Samsung or maybe even Ray-Ban, who Meta already works with. Longer term, they're aiming for bigger things. adding long-term memory, so it remembers things beyond that 10-minute window. More complex tool use capabilities, allowing it to perform more sophisticated tasks across apps, and deeper reasoning abilities. And maybe the most significant future step mentioned is making Astra available to developers. They're targeting 2026 for APIs and SDKs.
Ah, so opening it up.
Exactly. That could lead to a whole ecosystem of apps and services built on top of Astra's capabilities. That's where things could really explode.
So wrapping this up then, Project Astra really feels like it's pushing beyond just being a better voice assistant.
Yeah.
It's aiming to be an AI that genuinely sees, hears, understands, and remembers the world around us, almost like a companion in real time.
Precisely. It feels like a very deliberate step towards what people call ambient computing or ambient AI technology that's just seamlessly present and helpful, interacting much more naturally.
It really does make you stop and think about how something like this could change, well, almost everything. How we learn, how we work, how we find our way around, maybe even how we connect with each other.
And that leaves us with a thought for you listening right now. As AI like Astra gets better at seeing and remembering the world with us, what completely new ways might we find to learn, to create things, maybe even to connect with people? It's definitely something to ponder as this technology continues to develop.